name's Maeghan. I am the Massachusetts Market Manager for MADRIVER Distillers, and today I'm going to be taking you through the whole product line and teaching you about our products, tasting notes, cocktail ideas, etc. So welcome and enjoy. If you have the products with you, feel free to taste along. If not, please feel free to reach out with any questions, and if you need samples, I'd be happy to get them to you. So MADRIVER Distillers was a company founded in 2011 by Maura Connolly and her husband John Egan. Originally it was a passion project. They were really passionate about making spirits, and it turned into a true artisanal spirits company. It's really all locally sourced, non-GMO, organic when they can. They use fair trade sugar. It's truly farm to glass. They originally started with a small Muller pot still. And originally they were making apple brandy and rum, and eventually expanded to making whiskey as well. And they got a second pot still, a larger American pot still. So now they have two working pot stills that they use. And their aging room is in the barn next to the main distillery barn. That was an old restored horse barn from the 1800s. So we're going to start with the rum line. So we have 5 main rums in our rum line. First, we're going to talk about the Rum 44. Rum 44 is our silver rum. It's 2-time charcoal filtered, 100% fair trade Demerara sugar silver rum. The 2-time charcoal filtration gives it a really smooth characteristic. It mixes insanely well. It's gluten-free, which is written right on the bottle. All of our spirits are technically gluten-free, but this one has it written on the bottle. The 44 is because it's made on the 44th parallel in Vermont, in Warren, Vermont, at the distillery. And it says on the back of the bottle 97 calories per serving, so that's per 1.5 ounces. So this is a great alternative to a well rum like Bacardi. So this is a Vermont alternative to a well rum. It is gonna have some beautiful light sugar, fresh grass notes, marshmallow, citrus, lime, grapefruit. It has a little bit of a fresh coconut flavor as well. And for cocktail applications, I recommend really classic bright citrus cocktails like a daiquiri, a rum and tonic, a mojito. It can definitely take some really great infusions with herbs, any type of fruit that you want to work with. And a quick note about our rums, which makes them unique, is we're using Demerara sugar to distill. We do not use molasses. So the molasses will give it more of a funky, minerally acidic flavor, whereas the sugar gives it kind of a clean, more round sipping flavor. So we're distilling directly from sugar. The Demerara sugar is basically sugar in the raw, so it's unrefined sugar. And we mix that with hot water and yeast, and then we ferment and distill from that process. Next, we're going to be talking about our vanilla rum. The vanilla rum is definitely one of my favorite products in the line for mixology. It is a 100% Demerara based sugar rum, and then we macerate our rum at 160 proof. Before we proof it down, we chop up Tahitian vanilla beans and we macerate in that overproof rum for about 4 to 6 months. And then we lightly filter out all of the sediment from the vanilla beans, and then we bottle it, and then we proof it down to 40% alcohol. We're proofing that down with spring water that's actually from a well on the property at the farm that's over 150 years old. And you can see the color will always vary on this bottle because there's no chill filtration on any of our products, so it leaves all the natural oils and the natural colorings from the product. And this vanilla rum is 100% rum. There's no added sugar, no added sweetener to it, so it's just pure Demerara vanilla rum. For cocktail applications for the vanilla rum, I highly recommend, obviously, a dessert cocktail. So definitely, this is a great substitution for absolute vanilla or Stoli vanilla, which are artificially flavored and have sugar added to them, which is not what we do. This is a natural product with no sugar added, so it's a great substitute and really elevates your espresso martini or any dessert and coffee cocktail. If you want to do a boozy hot chocolate for the colder seasons. It also mixes really well with fruit. The fruit and vanilla kind of cream and berries aspect will really come through for mixologists. Definitely mix with sherry or use as a split base in any of your main spirits categories. So mix split base with whiskey, split base with rum, tequila, or mezcal. It's a great modifier in cocktails, so definitely a bartender's best friend. Now we're going to talk about the first Run Rum. Our first Run Rum is our first of our aged rums, and this is a great example of one of our sipping style rums. This is the first of our cask finished rums. This is aged for 1 year in new charred American oak barrels. So what makes this really unique is that we're using new charred and toasted American oak barrels. Most companies that make rum are going to be using used bourbon barrels, so it doesn't impart as much of that wood flavor, and they need to let it sit in that wood for a longer period of time. So this is a minimum of 1 year old, and you really see the beautiful color from the wood there, and it really adds to the flavor of the rum as well. This is a char level of a number 3 on our barrels, and we only use that barrel 1 time, and then we get rid of it. We work with a local maple syrup company that ages their their maple syrup in our rum barrels, and it does impart a beautiful fresh wood flavor as opposed to a used wood flavor. So it's a very unique process that we do. And again, we're starting with that base of 100% Demerara fair trade sugar to make our rum. This is a beautiful cocktail for mixing for any tiki program. So if you're going to do any sort of cocktail with juices, fresh local ingredients, and bitters, your tiki program is going to be very elevated with the first Run Rum. If you're going to be blending with a silver rum, obviously our Rum 44 is a great blending rum with that, or even our vanilla rum. I recommend cocktails like the Mai Tai with a split base of Rum 44 and the first Run Rum, a painkiller, or a rum punch, or any sort of tiki style cocktail. But don't knock stirring with this as well. You can definitely make a palmetto, which is a rum Manhattan, or any sort of stirred rum cocktail as well, or just sipping it neat on its own. It's a very smooth product. We also don't cut any corners when it comes to proofing our spirits. Our first Run Rum is an extra aged, but also a higher proof rum. So it's coming in at 45%, so it really stands up in cocktails and doesn't lose any of its characteristic when you're mixing it on its own or with other spirits as well. So next is one of our really cool products that very much encompasses Vermont. It's our maple cask rum. So this is not a maple infused rum. This is truly a maple cask finished rum. The first Run Rum is the base of our 2 cask finished rums. We actually work, as I was saying earlier, with a guy named Al Wood who makes maple syrup, and he does barrel aged maple syrup. He uses our used rum barrels to age his maple syrup, and then he gives the barrels back to us. And after it's aged for a year in the new American oak, we finish it in his maple cask barrels that have been sitting with the maple syrup. So it really imparts this beautiful, long sipping style rum with a really clean maple finish, but not a lot of sweetness. It is on the higher proof. It's about 46%. And this has about 14 months total in aging, sometimes even longer. And this is a really superior double-aged rum with a Vermont twist. So definitely fun for fall-inspired cocktails, sipping cocktails like an old-fashioned or Manhattan. I definitely recommend trying out any sort of walnut bitters, black walnut bitters, or strong spiced bitters like Angostura. If you want to do any hot cocktails, try it with some hot apple cider, some chai tea. It'll be really unique with that, and honey and lemon. And then also with stirred cocktails or even shaken cocktails, mixing with spiced aromatic liqueurs like Benedictine, Carpano Antica, or Chartreuse would be really unique with the maple cask rum. And then last of our rum line is our extra aged rum. This is our Pedro Jimenez rum. So this is our PX Rum. This is a total of around 30 months spent in barrels. So again, this is starting as our first Run Rum, and then our Pedro Jimenez rum is finished in Pedro Jimenez sherry barrels. So originally when the distillery was opened, one of the founders was from Spain and brought back some Pedro Jimenez sherry barrels. They're very, very large, and they didn't know what to do with them at first, but they had some success with their maple cask rum, won some beautiful accolades, some high gold awards with the maple cask, and they were like, well, why don't we try what we did with the maple cask rum with the Pedro Jimenez barrels? And they did the same, and they aged it for a little bit longer to impart more of that cherry flavor. So this is really a truly beautiful sipping rum. It's great for whiskey drinkers. I highly recommend it to people that drink things like Macallan or Highland Scotches that has that sherry cask finished. For tasting notes, it has a beautiful toffee, nutty, caramelly finish to it. For cocktail applications for this, I recommend Amaros, mixing with sherry, bitters, stirred whiskey style spirit forward cocktails. I also recommend mixing with strong spice flavors, cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, and also stone fruits, peaches, plums, apricots, and pears. Enjoy.